right, so let's talk rotations. We're going to start with this graph, okay, and we're going to just start by rotating 90 degrees, and we're going to go to the right, which would be clockwise. Okay, so let's start by noticing a couple of things, okay? So we have this plotted on an XY plane. So notice our Y-axis labeled, our X-axis labeled, okay? So let's notice what points we're looking at. So this is J. I'm just going to write these down. J is at 0, 1. Okay, point C is 1, 2, 3, 1. That's negative 3, 1. M, so let's see if that's 3. That would be negative 4, negative 2. Let me fix that so we can read it. And then K. So that's positive 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, negative 4. Can't draw 4s for some reason. Okay. All right, so we literally are going to move the graph. So if we were sitting in the classroom together, I would have this on a piece of paper for everybody, and we would literally rotate our piece of paper 90 degrees. So we would go in this direction, right? And so notice that Y, the little y here, will now be here, right? The little x here will now be down here. And the same thing is going to happen with those points. So let's take this one over here, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees to the right. So notice that, right? Here, let me change color just so we can kind of see this more clearly. So notice the little y is down here now. That little x is over here now, right? And so everything literally rotated. So now, again, what was previously our x-axis is our y-axis. And what was previously our y-axis is now our x-axis. So really with this rotation, so we can say that this shape was rotated 90 degrees to the right. And so how did it change the points? I'm just going to now document what each of these points are, right? So here's J. So J went from 0, 1. Previously, it was here. And now it's here, 1, 0, right? So this went to, you can call it J prime, 1, 0. So let's see what happened to C. So C is now 1, and what is that? 1, 2, 3. 3. So we'll call that C prime is now 1, 3. K, so what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 down. So negative 4, negative 1. So that's K, negative 4, negative 1. And then, oh, I put it in the wrong spot. It goes down here. Sorry. Negative 4, negative 1. And then let's look at M. And then M is 1, 2. So that's to the left 2. And then up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's see if we can generalize what happened here. Okay, I think it's easier when we have a variety, right? So here's negative 3, 1 became 1, positive 3. Negative 4, negative 2 became a negative 2, 4. Did I do that correctly? Negative 2, positive 4. And what was it over here? Were they both negative? 1, 2, 3, negative 4, negative 2. Okay, so negative 2, positive 4, and 1, negative 4 became negative 4, negative 1. So we can say that they definitely switched, right? So the X and Y switch, and then what's going on with the sign? Or the signs, should I say. So it looks like this will become negative y, so the y's absolutely change sign, and then the x's are going to stay the same. So we go from xy to negative yx. So we can see that here, 1 and negative 3 change, and then the y is actually negative. So we can see that that 3 changed sign. So this was a 90-degree clockwise turn. And so that's what happens if we want to rotate 180 degrees. How will that affect the graph? Well, let's go ahead and let's take this shape again. Okay, and then now we'll rotate it. So we've done a little bit. We'll rotate this one. Put another one so we can kind of do the same thing, but this time we'll go 180 degrees. Whoops. Okay. That should work. Okay. All right, so we'll rotate 180. So same thing, let's take our original points. I'll just copy them again. So J, C, M, K. So we have 0, 1, negative 3, 1, negative 4, negative 2, and 1, negative 4. And now we'll do our 180-degree rotation and see what happens with those points. So this one, we're actually going to rotate twice, right? So I can choose this 90-degree to the right, and I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, so now we can see, right? This y should now be down here, and this x should now be over here. And that's exactly what we see. And so again, these points are all rotated as well. So really, to see exactly what happened, I can just identify now the points over here with this as my new y-axis, and this is my new x-axis. So let's start up here. If we look at k, k is negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, 4. And let's see, m would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. C would be 1, 2, 3, negative 1. And J is 0, 1. And so if we generalize, what happens here is for every point xy, you get negative x, negative y. And so that is completely a 180-degree rotation. And again, we can continue this with, do it again for 270, or we could go on the other direction and make similar generalizations. In the questions that you were asked to look at in the homework, let me find those specifically. Those are right here. We were looking at this one. So this would have been what, A, B, C, D. So this could be considered a 180-degree rotation. So if you think about it, here we have B, which is at 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 3. And then this one, the rotated point is 0, negative 3. So G is 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4, 0. And so this is positive 4, 0, our G prime. And then X is negative 4 up 2. And so this should be positive 4, negative 2, right? If we're following that same pattern where XY becomes negative X, negative Y. That would indicate a rotation of 180 degrees. Now, many of you noticed, and a couple people said this was the result of 2 reflections. Some people said first we reflect about the x-axis, and then we do a second reflection about the y-axis. And so if you think about it, so if we first did an x-axis reflection, right, B, so let's reflect about the x-axis. So B would go down to here. X, so let's see, 2 up, so 2 down would be here. Label that. And G would stay put, right, if we're reflecting about the x-axis. And so this would look like, let's see if I can draw this. So that would be our x-axis reflection. And then if we do our y-axis reflection, G would map to G prime, B would stay the same, and X over to X prime. So this is absolutely true. A rotation of 180 degrees about the origin is the same as the two reflections of the X and then y-axis. Or it would have been fine if we would have reflected about the y-axis first and then the X. But that those two things will give you the same thing. So same thing like we talked about before, it's not that you couldn't rotate. We were rotating in all of these examples about the origin. We could rotate about a different point. We're not going to do that here, but we certainly could. And same thing about reflections. You know, we often reflect about the X and Y axis, or although we can reflect about different lines, as we saw, and you can reflect about different points. Again, that's not something we're going to do in this particular lesson, but that would be something that we would progress into, and likely in a high school geometry class. So I hope this explanation helps a little bit. If it was still a little bit fuzzy, please feel free to reach out if you'd like to talk about it more. I am going to share this entire worksheet with you with the solution so you can play around with it a little bit more before the midterm.